Let me turn off the dehumidifier. We're back, baby. Hey! How's it going? It's me, Amorah, from y.lk knits, and we're back. A year later. Okay, so I'm not gonna get too much into it, but obviously I haven't made a podcast episode in like a year. I think like a year to the day. I rewatched my first episode earlier, and I filmed it in June of last year, and it's June 6th today. Yeah, I don't even care. I'm back. I have a year's worth of stuff to share with you, so I'm honestly just gonna get right into it. Again, reintroduce myself. I'm Amorah. I'm 23 now. I live on the West Coast, and I'm a knitter, crocheter, artist, and designer. So I have a lot of things I want to share with you, mostly knitting, a little bit of crochet, and yeah, let's just get right into it because I have a lot to talk about. I'm trying this standing because I think it's better for me. A, no squeaky chair. B, I like it better. Anyways, let's just get right into it. Okay, I do have a year's worth of knitting to talk about, but also I wasn't knitting for the entire year. Like I said, I lost motivation, so like it's not that much. But I do have some stuff to share with you. So let's get started with my finished objects, I guess, to start with. My FOs, things that I've completed. I guess first of all, you'll be happy to know I finished my first pair of socks ever, and then some. So if you watched my last episode, my first and only episode, you'll know I was working on a pair of socks from the pattern. I was working from Voulin Vine's Favorite Socks pattern, and I'll just show you. Boom. Here they are. Finished socks. What's crazy is that the first sock that I knit for this pair was the first sock I ever knit. And this is the first pair of socks I ever completed. But between all of that, I've knit other socks. More on that later. First of all, specs, right? Here, excuse me. This yarn is Cascade Yarns Heritage Paints sock yarn. I think so. I have also, I'm going to have all my Ravelry pages, all of the details about everything in the description box. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the camera and not at me. So if I forget to say something, it'll be down there. So this is the colorway Succulent, and I've also dubbed these my Succulent Socks. It's just, it works. It's cute. Look at the colors. I love it. This pair of socks will always have a special place in my heart because they were my first pair. So I have been wearing these, so they are starting to pill a little bit. Like, they're starting to show wear. I have washed them once since I started wearing them, and so they don't look as stretched out as they were looking before. Okay, what else do I have to say about these? I knit these on 2.5mm needles, magic loop. The pattern calls for 2.25, I think, but my gauge was too small. I can't remember. It was a while ago when I first started. When I knit I knit and finished the first sock last year. I think in June when I filmed that podcast episode, I was like almost done with the first one. I finished the first one, put it down until the beginning of this year, and I finally knit the second sock. No, this is the first one, this is the second one. I can tell because the first one has a ton of like mistakes. I've got like this whole thing going on. I messed up where to put the decreases in the gusset, so the gusset on one side doesn't look right. But I'm not gonna fix any of it. I'm just gonna leave it. Like, this is my first pair, and I think it's just like a reminder of like how far I've come already in knitting socks and just knitting a few pairs. So yeah, so I knit the size medium from the pattern, but my gauge is smaller than the pattern, even on 2.5mm needles. And so that's why I knit the medium, because I have pretty small feet. I wear between a 6.5 to a 7 most of the time in US sizing. So I knit the medium in hopes that it'd be like a small medium, like small to medium situation, and they fit me great. So that was a good choice. That's what works for me. Sorry. There we go. Focus a little bit better. I love this yarn. Really, really pretty. There we go, we got the exposure back. First pair. First finished object, first pair of socks. Very, very proud of myself. Like, I said I wanted to learn how to knit socks, and I did it. I did it. Okay. The second thing I have to show you is another pair of socks. So, if we rewind, last year, I had gotten that yarn from The Little Wolf Knits. That was specifically, and it was an exclusive colorway sock set made for Nitty Natty Sock Week 2022. Okay, here's what happened. Sock Week 2022 came along. I started knitting my sock. I actually started late, and I started it like 4 days, because it's only a week long make along. So it's like, if you don't know what Sock Week is, it's hosted by Nitty Natty on YouTube, and she so it's like you start on like a Sunday, it ends on a Sunday, you knit a sock in that week, or more than one sock if you can. And then you can like enter to win prizes and stuff. It's just like a fun make along. So I wanted to participate last year. I bought the yarn, and I did. So I started like 4 days late. I can't remember what happened, but like I couldn't start for like 4. So I was just like knitting furiously. I managed to finish the sock in like 3 days, 3 or 4 days. That was last year. That was last July. I just finished this pair of socks like a week ago or a couple weeks ago at this point. Here they are. So as you can see, it's a shorter pair. It's the same exact pattern, same exact sock pattern. I just did a contrast heel and toe because the sock came with a mini. So obviously I wanted to do a contrast heel and toe with it. I didn't do the cuff. I don't know why I didn't, because I definitely could have. I think so anyway. I don't know. I don't have very much left though. I think I only have like less than 10 grams left of this. So maybe it's a good thing I didn't do the cuff, but I don't know. Anyways, specs. Again, this yarn is by The Little Wolf Knits on Instagram, or Brianna Lupino, I think is her full name. This is her Sunfish base, which is a sock base. It's a 75-25 sock base, 75% merino wool, 25% nylon. And the colorway was called Up at Dawn, and then the mini skein was in the color Shark! Exclamation point. And again, it was exclusive to Sock Week 2022 last year, so like you can't get it now, but that's what it is. Those are the details. Again, knit on 2.5mm needles, magic loop. What's really interesting about both of these pairs of socks is because both of them, I knit the first one last year, and they were the first socks I ever knit. Sorry, I'm like looking at the socks. I feel like I've gotten so much cleaner at these decreases lines. I think this is the most recent one, because this is like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Actually, fun fact, this one, the ends aren't woven in yet. But I wanted to take pictures and stuff and call them done, so I just stuck all the ends on the inside of it, so I haven't worn them yet. Anyways, as I was saying, so I knit the first socks last year, and then I knit the second socks for both of them at the beginning of this year, and my gauge has changed a little bit. I think it's just as I've gotten more comfortable with the motion of knitting, especially sock knitting in the round, because that's what I've been doing the most of within the past year. Like my gauge is like loosened a little bit, because on the first sock of both of these, I had like 56 rows, 58 rows for the foot. And I had all that written down so that I could make the second sock. I went to make the second sock, and on both of them, by the time I got to like 50-ish rows, it was already like as long as it needed to be. So, and like, I think these ones, there's maybe a little bit of a difference in the length. Not by much though. And these ones are like identical. But there's different numbers of rows in the feet. And again, because my gauge has just changed over the past year. Again, I think it's just I've gotten more comfortable, and so the gauge is like a tiny bit looser. Just something interesting to think about. So, interesting to notice that. So each of them are a tiny bit different just because they were knit so far apart. But I have 2 pairs of socks. I'm so happy. You don't understand. Like, when I first learned, when I was like, I'm gonna learn to knit, I was like, what I really wanted to knit was socks. And like, I did it. I just did it. And now I have 2 pairs of hand knit socks. These are gonna be awesome in the winter. I mean, they're nice now. They feel great. I was a little worried because I know some people like have sensory issues with hand knit socks, like when it comes to like specific construction. So like a lot of people don't like cuff down because they don't like feeling the knot in the toe. I can't feel it at all. Some people don't like certain types of heels because of the way it rubs on like their skin. These feel awesome. I mean, I've only done this reinforced heel flap and gusset. I haven't really done any other type of heel yet. Except I kind of did, but it's basically the same heel. But so far, like, these are super comfortable, and I can't wait to knit. I can't wait to knit like a million more. Anyways, socks, 2 pairs. 2 pairs. I don't know where I was going with that. Ignore that. Second finished object. Oh, excuse me. The third finished object I have to share with you is, okay, the third finished object I have to share with you is this yarn cozy. Isn't she cute? Again, rewinding last year, I'm pretty sure I talked about how I had bought the yarn cozy patterns. This pattern is by Knitty Natty here on YouTube. And they're literally just cozies to hold your yarn. So I bought like the bundle. I have the pattern for the mini yarn cozies and also just the 100 gram yarn cozy light. So this is the 100 gram version, and I knit it with my leftovers from that last pair of socks. This is the Uppa Dawn, and then I did a contrast I-cord with the mini skein, that shark color. This has some yarn in it. I did the faux cable option because I've never done anything like that before. Sorry if the exposure, I'm figuring it all out. I've never done anything like that before, so it was an opportunity to learn a new stitch, a new skill. And I've also never done I-cord before, like, or this is like an I-cord bind off, a stretchy I-cord bind off, and I think I did a pretty good job. There she is. I don't have much else to say with that, but I want to make more cozies with all my leftovers. I have leftover from the Succulent, so I want to make maybe like 250 grams. It would be like a little sock. I don't know. I have even more of this too, like way more. I could make like 2 more cozies with all that I have, so I think this might start a little obsession. I also like the way it pooled, this colorway. Sorry. Like, it's like spirally. I don't know. It's pretty. It's cool. Okay, we got socks, yarn cozy. I have 2 more finished objects to share with you, one of which I don't have the physical object to show you, but I'll get to that in just a second. For now, I have a hat. Bet you didn't see that one coming. This was nowhere near existence by when I was filming my last episode. Okay. I'm like trying to figure out where to start. This is an Oslo hat by Petite Knit, the mohair edition. This yarn is de Rerum Natura Albertine in the color Petit Matin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing any of that right, but I tried. So, That is it's a merino silk blend. It is, I think 90% merino wool and then 10% silk. And then and I held that with a strand of mohair from Biches and Bouches. Biches et Bouches. I don't know how to speak French, so again, I'm trying. It's the Le Petit Silk and Mohair. So it's a silk and mohair blend in the color medium blue. So I bought this yarn from La Mercerie here in Washington back when they were still in their Poulsbo location last summer. They recently moved to Bainbridge Island. So we went to Poulsbo on like a little day trip, me and my roommates, and I was like, there's a yarn store we have to go to. So I picked this up while I was there because I fell in love with this mohair. In the skein, like, the color was so beautiful. But I couldn't find a wool in the same color at the store that matched, and the only other blues there were like a little more muted, and I felt like they would dull down the color of the mohair that I thought was so beautiful. So I had to find something that would like pair well with it instead of like a direct color match. So that's how I ended up with the Terrarum Naturum one, because it's like a gray, but it's like a blue-gray color. So anyways, this is kind of, it came out with this kind of like marled blue and gray color. It came out exactly how I wanted it to. This is, I'm obsessed with this. Should we put it on and mess up my hair? Here's the fit. So some specs on this. I knit the size youth large. I have a pretty small head. It's honestly, actually no, I like this size. It's perfect. It's very warm. I will say this is the first time I ever worked with mohair and the first time I've ever like worn mohair. I do find it to be a little bit itchy on my forehead. So even though it's beautiful and I do love this fabric, I think if next time I were to use mohair in a hat, I might do the thing where like you omit it on the part where you know it's like in the brim specifically where it's going to be on your forehead. I've heard of people doing that, like not putting it there but then having it in the rest of the hat just so like your forehead is nice and comfortable. Either way, it's honestly not that bad though. This hat came out perfect. Oh, and I knit this on 3.5mm needles. The pattern calls for 3mm. I'm trying to remember. I think I knit it on 3mm and my gauge was too small, so I just sized up and went with the youth large, which is the size that matches my head circumference, and the fit came out perfectly. I honestly think this will be like my go-to hat pattern. There's the decreasing on the top. What was crazy is while I was knitting this and I was getting to the decreasing, like the math was not mathing. It was like, it would be like, this is how many stitches you should have, and like my stitch count was all off. But I just trudged along. I just kept going, and you can't even tell. You can't even tell. I just had to do some like fudging a bit at the end there, but this was also very enjoyable to knit. Pretty quick. I think I started it like in October and I finished it in December. So it took me like maybe like a month to make. And again, I was kind of going on and off. I was probably working on a couple other things at the same time. Actually, I know I was. Yeah, I was working on I was working on some Christmas gifts. So 10 out of 10. I'm obsessed with this. This is, I think, like my most well done knit so far. Like, this looks like I could have bought this at a store. Very, very pleased with myself. And the pattern. It's a good pattern. Again, it's going to be like my go-to hat pattern for a while. I really like this shape. Yeah. I don't know if there's much else I can say. Again, if there's a detail you were wondering and I left it out on accident, so I'm getting blown out here. Again, if there's like a detail that I left out, I'll have my Ravelry project page linked down below. The last finished object I don't have it here with me, is the finished object here in the room with us now. It's another pair of socks. It's, last year I decided I was gonna knit my grandparents, my grandma and my Uppa, a pair of socks for Christmas. So I, I don't, I started around Thanksgiving-ish, right after like Black Friday. They were not done by Christmas. They were not. I'm gonna put up a picture right here of my grandma's sock. Aren't they beautiful? I just finished them in April. We went on a trip to Mexico, me and my grandparents. We went on a trip to Mexico and I finished them there, blocked them there, gave them to my grandma there. And I'm still working on the other pair, I'll be honest. So, specs. This pattern, okay, you can put the picture away now, is, it's a modified version of Wool & Vine's favorite socks pattern. My grandparents have pretty large feet, especially my grandma. She is diabetic and has cancer, and her ankles and stuff swell a lot throughout the day. And so I wanted to make sure I made like a sock that was like really kind of oversized, like nice and comfortable, could fit over other pairs of socks. My grandma wears a lot of compression socks, you know, and she's also cold all the time. So I thought she'd like a, you know, a pair of wool socks. And so I just wanted to make sure they'd fit. Like, I didn't want to be tight. I didn't want it to be a hassle. I wanted them to go on easy, fit, and then like you'd be able to like move with her body as it fluctuates throughout the day. And so I basically modified it to just be like a much larger version. And so that came with some challenges because I had to like do some of my own math, and like I'm not a genius. And again, I'm like still a beginner knitter, so it was interesting. But like the heel turn, the setup for the heel turn and everything, I had to do that myself. Like figure out the math, and I did it, and I'm proud of myself. So anyways, so yeah, it's basically just like a big version. If I were to knit it again, because I don't know if you noticed in the photos, but while it fits her really well around like the ankle and the heel and stuff, on the foot, I think her foot is much smaller than like her ankle. And so it's kind of loose around the foot, especially her toe. The toe's too big. So I think if I was going to make her socks again, I would just decrease even more when I got to the foot, because I just decreased to the original stitch count, right? Because that's like typically how you make socks, at least when you do like a heel flap gusset situation. And so I decreased to the original stitch count, and I think next time I would decrease just even more to match her foot circumference a little better. But she said she really liked them and the fit of them, and she kind of likes a little extra length in the toe, because she likes to like make a little cushion for her toe in her shoes and stuff, and like her slippers. So I think all in all it'll work for her, but I just think there could be some improvement. And it's like I made the toe kind of wider than I would normally, but so it could proportionally work, and it's a little bit longer than like a toe would be on my sock. So yeah, it definitely was like a learning process, but yeah. And they took longer than like a pair of socks for myself because they were so much bigger. And so yeah, it took me a while. And also like I stopped knitting on them for a while, then I got right back on it, and they're done. They're with my grandma. She's happy. Well, that was all my finished objects from this past year. So like I said, not a ton, but also I'm very satisfied with what I've accomplished within the last year, because even though I've only finished a few things, there's a lot of things I've worked on, and like I've learned a lot. So we'll get more into that, but for now I want to show you what I'm working on, my current whips. So I forgot to gather my whips between filming. First what I want to show you is my grandpa's socks, or he's my Uppa, we call him Uppa. I showed you my grandmother's socks. Also, forgot to tell you all about the yarn. Okay, so that red from the sock before was Malabrigo. Malabrigo Ultimate Sock. So it's their sock base that has nylon in it. I believe it's a 75-25, could be an 80-20, but I think it's a 75-25 split. And that was in the color Cereza. And the sorry, the cuff, heel, and toe was in the Mad Tosh sock in the color Kitten. So for my grandpa's socks, he's getting a matching pair. Matching but different. So this is also Malabrigo Ultimate Sock. It's the same base, just a different color. This is in the color Azul Profunda. It's beautiful. I'm a little biased. Like, I like this blue so much. And then he will also have a contrast heel and toe in that Mad Tosh Kitten. So it's a gray, it's kind of a warmer gray, which is why I chose it. So they have like a matching pair of socks. I don't know, I think it's cute. So I've been knitting them not two at a time on the same pair of needles, but I've been knitting both at the same time. So this is where I'm at with his socks. I'm knitting them to the same specifications as my grandma's sock, because I finished one sock and I visited my grandparents and I tried it on both of them to make sure it would work. And this like it fit my grandpa's foot like perfectly. Like even better than it fit my grandma's foot, like in the toe and everything. So I'm gonna knit his to the same specification. So as you can see, I'm ready to start the heel on this one. And I'm decreasing the gusset right now on this one. So yeah, the specifications are the same as my grandma's. Again, if you are interested in knitting like a really, really big sock, for whatever reason, I have all of the information, and because it's a free pattern, the Wool and Vine Favorite Socks, so you could use that pattern, and I have my stitch counts and everything that I used, and my heel turn and everything on my Ravelry on the project page for both of these. So all the information's there. So I've been working on those since, again, like November of last year. They're not done. They're supposed to be Christmas presents. They're belated. It's okay. Maybe it can be a Father's Day gift. But I don't think I'll even be done for that. Right now, that's kind of, I haven't knit on it in a few weeks because I have other projects that I'm working on. And you know what? I don't feel bad about it. Like, I was like really into it for a while, but I need breaks from those. Again, because they're so much bigger and they just are taking so much longer than like knitting a sock for myself is taking. Like, I need ample breaks between so I don't get like burnt out and sick of the project. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I do know, actually. Yeah, I just said it. So that's the first whip I have for you. Second whip is also one that I started last year, but I want to share it with you. And it's more socks. Would you believe it? I've been, well, not really, because I haven't worked on them since last year, but I'm planning on picking them up again soon, which is why I want to share them with you. Here it is. Here's one. And here's two. These are, I'm calling them my Moonstone socks, which is fitting because they are the stone socks from 52 Weeks of Socks. I finally knit something from 52 Weeks of Socks. Kind of. It's not done. But, oh. I don't remember what number it is, but it's the pattern is called Stone from 52 Weeks of Socks. In this yarn, rewind last year, I had just acquired its Mad Tosh sock in the color Moonstone. Moonstone, I'm making the stone socks, Moonstone socks. Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm knitting these for my best friend. They were supposed to be a birthday present for her last year. Her birthday was July last year. This is where they're at, almost a full year later. Maybe I've learned I can't gift knit, and I shouldn't. Or if I do, I should start it a year before I intend on giving it to that person. Here's actually why I stopped working on them. I was getting concerned. So, the pattern calls for 2.5mm needles, fingering weight yarn. I knit these on 2.75mm needles, and I knit the size 2, as it's the largest size. My best friend, her feet are a lot bigger than mine, and so I was trying to give it the best chance of like fitting her. But the problem is this patterning. I mean, it's beautiful. It's like a slip. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. It's beautiful. Like this chart and everything. And it was my first time reading a chart, and it's really pretty and cool. There's like no stretch to it. And this, I took this off the. You can see it's not on any needles right now. It's just like on a piece of scrap yarn, because I blocked it. I blocked it on these large sock blockers in hopes that I could stretch it a little, because as I was making it, I would like I tried to put it on my foot, and I could barely get it over my heel, and it's literally just this leg portion because it won't stretch. And I'm like, if I can barely get it over my heel, like, I don't think my best friend's gonna be able to get it over hers. And so even though it fits on the sock blocker, I tried to put it on, and like I couldn't really get it on. So I'm worried. Not worried. They won't fit. So I'm trying to figure out what to do from here, because I really want to use this yarn. It's my best friend. I've always said, like, the color light purple, like a pastel lavender purple, has always made me think of her. Like, I think that's like the color of her aura. Like, she is like light purple. I can't explain it, but it's not even like her favorite color or anything. I've just always associated that color with her. And so I thought that this yarn, like, I wanted to use it for something for her. And I don't know. And I really wanted to make something for 52 weeks of socks. So also, I love this heel flap. So this is the owner. It's still like a reinforced heel flap, but the like patterning, the slipping in the heel is done a little bit differently than on heel flaps I've done before. And it's beautiful. I plan on using it again soon in a different sock because it's just pretty. So I have a couple things I could do here. I could not make the socks and make something else with this yarn for her, because I still really want to use this yarn for her. Or I was also thinking I could potentially rip all of this. Okay, go back to the leg. Because the way it's knit, obviously you continue the pattern on the top of the foot, but on the bottom of the foot it's just stockinette. So I was thinking I could potentially go back and just only do half of the chart and just keep it on the front of the leg, and then do the back of the leg stockinette, and then that way it would actually fit over her heel, and like she'd be able to wear them. She's gonna be here. My best friend's coming to visit me next week. I'm very excited. I'll talk more about that later because she's coming for a reason. And it's actually relevant to one of my projects. But I might ask her what she wants. Does she want this pair of socks, or does she want me to make something else for her? Because it was meant to be a gift for her, and I can always make these socks again for myself with something else. So I'm kind of torn there. So that's why I haven't worked on them, because I realized they weren't going to fit and I needed to figure out what to do. Those are all the socks I'm working on currently, so we won't talk about socks for a few minutes. They'll come up again later. Okay. My next whip. I have been on a journey with this project and this yarn, okay, within the past couple months. I kind of want to... Here's the thing. On that trip that I took to Mexico, that was a 2-week trip, and it was in April, like mid-April to the end of April. I took with me on that trip my 2 sock projects, my grandma's socks and my grandpa's socks, and some yarn to start a new project. I was gonna make a hat, I specifically wanted to recreate those bunny hats by Loverboy. You may have seen them. I started making this hat with this yarn and then realized like this was a horrible choice of yarn for this project. I still want to make that project eventually, but I was like, why did I do this? Like, this isn't gonna work. So I ripped it out and I was like, I'm gonna make a June top, but my gauge isn't right and I don't have the right needles. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna double up the yarn on bigger needles and knit. It was so silly. My gauge was too big and yet I didn't size down or anything. And so I knit this thing. I knit the entire top, basically. I did like a couple inches. I did a provisional cast on, knit a couple inches. And then I did the whole top portion. The straps, Kitchener stitched it up and everything. Wove in the ends and everything. And I was putting it on and I was like, it's too big. Of course it was going to be too big. Don't ask me what I was thinking. So I got home and I was like, I gotta rip this out. Like, this is too big for me. And like, I don't know why. So I've been on quite a journey with it. So I actually have some vlog footage to show you of me going through it with this whip. So like, I'm just gonna roll the clips. Here you go. Okay, sorry if it's loud. You guys are getting a little vlog moment. I feel like I think I might insert this into whatever podcast I film next because like I'm having a crisis. Oh, sorry. I have been knitting this June top. First of all, this is the second time I've knit it. I literally knit the entire top, Kitchener stitched it up and everything, and then realized this is too big for me. Like, it was way too big. And I was like, excuse me. I was like, no, okay. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to unravel it. Literally. There's my June top unraveled. And I'm going to recast it on a size smaller. And only single-stranded, because I was doing it double-stranded, and then I was like, that was a dumb idea. I don't know why I did that. And so now I'm doing it single-stranded, a size smaller, on the same needle. Here's the thing. Okay, so I cast it on again. It's enormous. I'm knitting the size large. My gauge is too big. I know that. I think I'm not going to call myself dumb. I'm inexperienced and I'm figuring it out as I go. I've yet to like complete an actual garment for myself. So if that puts things in perspective. Also, I think I underestimated just how much this yarn freaking stretches. It gets so like, I don't even know. Can you tell I'm having a moment? I'm struggling. So I'm like sitting there and I'm like, what do I have to do to make this top work? Okay. And so I tried to do some math. Okay. So the gauge for the pattern is 22 stitches per 4 inches. I'm not talking about row right now, just stitches. Okay. 22 stitches. My gauge was 17 stitches per 4 inches. So I decided to actually do the math this time and figure out how much bigger that is than the pattern's gauge. And I found out it was 77% bigger than the pattern's gauge. So I'm like, I normally, and per the pattern's measurements, would be an extra large in like most things and in this. And so like, that's what I knit the very first time. That didn't work. I knit it again, a size smaller. That didn't work. So I'm like, well, clearly I need to go even freaking smaller to make this work. So I take the stitch count that should fit me per the pattern's gauge, the initial cast on stitch count for like the body, because that's like what I'm concerned about right now. I took that and times it by 0.77. So like by 77%, basically. I'm not good at math. I'm using like my basic skills to try and do this. So I'm sorry if I'm not using the right terms, but like, so I did that, and it gave me a number. It's a paid for pattern, so I don't want to like give away all the like stitch counts, but like, so it gave me a number, and I was like, okay, so it basically, it's like, that's how many stitches I need to cast on with my gauge to fit the pattern's gauge. Hello? I was interrupted. Anyways, so this stitch count per the 22 stitch gauge, and then I came up with my new stitch count per my gauge. And so I was comparing that, like, what's the closest, you know, rounded up to the highest or lowest in the pattern. And I look at the pattern, and the stitch count closest, the cast on stitch count that is closest to my math is the extra small. I'm like, and in my head, it's like, there's no freaking way that should be able to fit me. But the numbers don't lie. And then I even took this and I count, like, you know, got how many stitches I think I should actually be using for my body per this gauge, and I put it on and it fits. It fits, and even then it's a little, like, I feel like once it blocks, it'll still grow even more. So like, it might even be a bit loose even then, but I feel like it goes against all logic, but at the same time, maybe I don't know anything. I mean, I don't know anything. That's this is just a rant, but like, I am going through the learning curves right now of like just trying to make things work. Also, the pattern, I've been using a 4.5mm needle. Don't ask me why. That's what I used when I double stranded it because it made sense, but then I went single stranded and I just kept the 4.5mm needle. And now I'm like, I should go down to a 4mm needle. Actually, I know why I stayed at a 4.5mm needle. You need a smaller needle to do the I-cord bind off, and I thought I didn't have a 3.5mm needle in my Leica set, but I do, so I have no excuse to not do the 4mm. But so now I'm like, do I make another gauge swatch? Do you know how many swatches I have in this yarn? I think only 2, but I've actually knit like 4 of them at this point, and like 4 or 5, I'm not kidding. So I could just go for it. I could just do the smaller needle. Well, I was thinking, do the smaller needle, go to up to a size small. I am not a size. I have not been a size small in a long time. So it just feels like it goes against whatever. That doesn't matter. We're looking at numbers. Or should I just do the 4mm and knit the size extra small? Because then I'm like, so the body will fit, but then will the strap shaping be weird? But also, I can cross that bridge when I get there, I think, potentially. Because, again, I've already knit this entire top. Or at least the entire top portion. I didn't finish the body, but I did all of the top before realizing I can't use this. So I've done it, and I understand the construction. So I think that means that, like, if I needed to modify it to fit me better, once I got to the straps, I could do that, potentially, but then again, maybe I am overestimating my ability. I don't know what to do, and I need somebody to tell me what to do, but nobody's gonna tell me what to do. I just have to do something. I feel like I should just put this away and worry about it later. But also, like, I really want to finish this top because I have 2 other tops I've been wanting to make. But for some reason, I feel like I have to finish this top and get it down before I can make those 2 other tops that I have the yarn for, that I have already swatched for. My swatch is off on those 2, but not by as much as this one. Or my gauge, but this is almost 10 minutes of me ranting about this. So, that is where I'm at right now. I am very curious to see where I'll be at by the time anybody actually sees this clip. But, like, I just wanted to, like, be really real with you for a second. Because, like, this is, I feel, dude, this shock on my face when I realized it, I would have to knit an extra small to fit my gauge. I was like, I will figure it out. I will. You know what? I'll probably need another gauge swatch. Because so far, just chancing it has not worked. It hasn't worked out for me yet. And there's people yelling on the street. That's my cue to leave. Okay. Back to you, Amorah. Here's another vlogging clip. It's been a few days. I put this away out of my mind. I worked on some other stuff. And I decided to knit another swatch on 4mm needles. I just blocked it. Also, if I look puffy at all, I just got my wisdom teeth taken out yesterday. So, yeah, don't look at me. And so far, it's not dried yet. Again, I just blocked it, but I did get, like, a lot of the moisture out. And just by measuring it right now, I think I might have met gauge. I think I'm at, like, 20.5 stitches by, like, 29.5 rows. And the gauge is 20 stitches by 32 rows. Okay, so, like, that's still a little off, but it is a lot closer than I was. So, it's already looking a lot more promising. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'll recast it on eventually once I make a decision on, like, what to do size-wise. And yeah, again, I feel like this is going to go in the middle of a podcast episode, or maybe I'll just turn it into its own video as I'm documenting this learning process for me. And, you know, maybe it'll help somebody else out there who also is, like, really struggling with garment knitting. Again, this is, like, this isn't the first garment I've attempted to make, but it's the one that I've, like, gotten closest to, and it's the one I'm deciding to, like, really try and go all the way with. So maybe this will help somebody out there who, you know, is trying to make their first garment also and feels like, am I dumb or something? No, it's just, I'm realizing it's a big learning curve, especially when it's like you're not using the recommended yarn and you're trying to figure it all out yourself. It's definitely a lot more difficult, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. Catch you later. I met gauge. I met gauge exactly. 20 stitches by 32 rows. 4mm needles. So if I just followed the pattern from the beginning, this is humbling. This is very humbling. So here's where we're at with it. Let me show you. It's just, ooh, the yarn is tangled there. Okay. This is my June top now. We are on track. We're on better track. Honestly, I was going to try it on before filming this so I could know. I haven't yet, but already, like, this is looking better. Okay, like, I think, honestly, half of the problem might have been the yarn that I was using for my provisional cast on. It was too heavy of a yarn, and it was, like, stretching it out even more, I think, because then I finally used this yarn. Let me backtrack a little bit. This is Line Brand Kobu. if you rewind back last year, it's the yarn I used for those bowl cozies that I made for Mother's Day. I have left over. And then I decided I wanted to make something with it and bought a little bit more of this. This is the pale pink color. Sorry, it's focus a little bit. It won't focus, but this is the pale pink color. So I finally used the same yarn, just in a different color for the provisional cast on. So I know it's the same weight, and it's going a lot better. So this is, I'm knitting the size XL because I made gauge, except I re-measured the gauge and I think I'm like 1 stitch off stitch wise. My row gauge is, I'm pretty sure, right on point. And I think I might be 1 stitch, I have 1 stitch too many, so my gauge is 1 stitch smaller than the pattern gauge. Fine by me. That'll just make it have a little bit more negative ease, which, oh my god, if I make this and it's too small, I'm gonna give it to somebody else because I'm not remaking this. It's like the 4th time I've cast this on. Like, ooh. I got my wisdom teeth taken out 2 weeks ago, and talking this much is making it hurt a little. We trek on. So this is where I'm at. I've knit about 2 inches on the body, and I'm gonna try it on. This is my plan of action. I'm gonna try it on, and make sure it's like looking right. And if it does, I'm gonna go ahead and knit the top portion, and then, you know, pick up the stitches from the provisional cast on and knit the rest. That's my plan of action with this. This is how it's going. It's been a ride. It's been a journey. I'm so determined to finish this. It's more, at this point, it's spite. It's like, you know what, you've made, I've gone through so much. It feels like I have to see this through at this point. Now I know, like, I don't have to, right? Like, I could just let it go and do something else. But I've made the choice to keep on keeping on with it, so this is where we're at. But already this is the best it's gone so far. So yeah, these are 4mm needles, Line Brand Kobu in pale pink, and the June Top by Petite Knit. I think that's all the information I really need to tell you about that. So that's one of 3 summer tops I'm planning on making this year. So, and I really need to finish this because I gotta have, I can't take all summer to make this. I'm trying to wear it this summer. So, yeah. You know, I still have yet to knit a successful garment for myself. Please let this be the one. Okay, next whip. Very excited to share with you. This is a crochet whip. It's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? A spontaneous cast on. It's crochet, so you don't cast it on. But it's a pretty spontaneous project, but like it's got a deadline. So like I said, my best friend is coming into town next week, and that is because we have a concert to go to next week. We are gonna see Twice in concert. Ah! I'm so excited. Twice, the K-pop group, for those who maybe don't know. Regardless, I'm super, super, super stoked. So, I need a concert outfit. I'm not making like a whole outfit. I bought the whole outfit already. So I've got like, I've got a whole thing. I've like, so I got like a dress, some tights, some really high platform heels to wear to make me average height so I can have my best shot of seeing over the masses at this concert. And I went with like this really bright color palette. So like the dress is like a yellow, the tights are like a hot pink, and the heels are like an orange, which funnily enough, those are my 3 favorite colors. But I really want to dress like bright and colorful and just like fun, because like that's how Twice's music makes me feel. Like it fills me with so much joy. Their music is crack, man. Someone has cracked the code with like how to make pop music that makes you feel good every single time, no matter how you're feeling. Because it's like, they have the magic formula. They do. The Krabby Patty formula. They got it, because I just love Twice. I'm so excited for this concert. I want my outfit to like reflect, you know, how their music makes me feel, and just have a fun grand old time. So, like I said, it's kind of like a out there color palette, because like it's kind of clashing right now. So what I want is a head accessory to kind of tie it all together. So that's where this project comes in. I'm crocheting a bandana. Now, I've never made a bandana before, and this could have been simpler, but I made it a little bit more complicated because of what I wanted. The tights that I have, they have like little hearts in them, so I kind of want to carry on that heart motif, and so I figured the best way I could figure out how to do it was by doing granny square, like a granny square situation. So, excuse me, let me just show you what I have so far. This is my bandana. So, it's on blocking mats right now because I just blocked these triangles. So this is every single one of these is a separate piece. I haven't woven it, I haven't seamed it all together yet. So I started with, this is self-drafted, basically. I had an idea of what I wanted, and I had to look up tutorials to figure out how to do certain things, and I've kind of meshed them all together and did my own thing with it. So yeah, this is self-drafted. If you want to make one, I'll have all the information in my Ravelry page. It's not there yet because I haven't nailed down my pattern yet, but I've been writing it down as I go so that I can, you know, have all the information if for some reason I ever want to recreate it. So what we have here is some granny squares with hearts in the middle. Why does this one look crooked? Anyways, in my color palette. So I really wanted to do orange and pink, but once I got the orange and pink, I realized that they're really similar in value. So when they're next to each other, you kind of lose them within each other. So I'm trying to combat that by just creating some more high contrast. So I've been into this project. I have all these sketches. This is the one I landed on that I liked the best, but then I actually made one, did some measurements, and this is where I ended up. And I still might have to, I don't know. The thing is that it's longer than it is, it's longer than it is long. It's wider than it is long. And so it took me a second to get there. But I can't really make it any wider, or else it'll just be too wide. So I'm still working on it. This has been so fun. I haven't done like a self-drafted crochet project in a while, and I really like it. It's a nice challenge. I love the planning process. Like, this is my pattern so far. So yeah, so if you can see right here, my plan here is that, so you saw so far I have like all the squares and the half squares. I'm going to do, because I want a pink border, but I don't want the pink to get lost on the orange. So I'm going to do a thin border of the yellow to separate the two, and then do another more decorative border with the pink, and then do the little ties with the pink and have little hearts at the end, and it'll be so cute. So yeah, these are already blocked and dried, but I put them back on the blocking board so I could make sure that these are being blocked to the right specifications. So I just made all these half granny squares, these little triangles, and I blocked them. They're still wet, and they're drying in place right now. And once they're dry, I'll seam it all together, try it on, come up with my next course of action. So I have a week to finish this, but honestly, this hasn't taken that long. I've been working on it on and off for the past week. Like I've been doing little chunks at a time, because I've been working, I'm taking a class right now, like I'm busy, but I've just been like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make all the hearts one morning. At lunch, I'm gonna add all the I'm gonna finish the granny squares. Yesterday at lunch, I finished all the triangles. They really haven't taken long at all, and especially since I've been doing it in these little chunks, making it go even faster. So yeah, That's how my bandana's looking so far. I think it really is going to tie the whole outfit together. I also really want to make matching earrings. I want to make like flowers with the same yarn. Oh, yarn! Duh. These are the yarns I'm using. They're cotton. Well, these two are cotton, I think 100%. This is cotton and a linen blend. So let me show you. The orange is this Juniper Moon. Juniper Moon Farm in Zoe. It's, yeah, 60% cotton and 40% linen. The color is 14. It's an orange. The pink and the yellow are this Stacy Charles yarn incorporated. They're cotton classic. It's 100% mercerized cotton made in Greece. I bought these from my local yarn store. I have these. It's on my Ravelry, so like which colors they are, all that information is there. Because right now I don't remember which is which. They're just numbers. But yeah, I bought these from my local yarn store. I decided a few weeks ago that I wanted to make this, and then it was a hunt for yarn. Because I tried to go to like Hobby Lobby at first because it was the most accessible to me at the time. They downsized their yarn section. I was so disappointed. Couldn't find anything there. I went to Walmart because it was right next door. Nothing there. I tried to look online. I couldn't get anything fast enough, reasonably priced. So I was like, so I waited and I went to the yarn store once it opened and found just what I needed. The reason I chose these yarns is because they had the colors I needed, basically. Yeah. I mean, I'm liking them so far. It's definitely a little more like of a rustic feel because of the like cotton and linen and stuff. It's not necessarily like soft or anything. And ideally I wanted a little bit more drape to my bandana than I think I'm going to get with this cotton. But for what it is, it works. Especially, I'll probably end up using the leftovers for like home decor, things like that. I wouldn't use it for a garment, but it's serving its purpose. I like it so far. Oh, also 4.5mm crochet hook, if you were curious. I have one last whip to show you. I should grab it, probably. Here's my last whip. It's a blanket, a very small one. So this is a stash buster project, really. What it is this is Lion Brand's Wool Ease Thick and Quick in the color Hudson Bay. Here it is in a ball. Let me show you this close up because the colors are really quite pretty. So yeah, basically I have like tons of this. I have like 7 balls or so. I bought it a couple years ago with the intention of making a sweater. That didn't happen. And so, but I really want to use it and I want it out of my stash because it's taking up a lot of room. It's taking up a lot of room in my stash because they're like big balls, you know, they're chunky. Like this is bulky weight yarn and I have 7 balls of it. So this is what I'm doing with it. It's just a garter stitch. I'm not following a pattern. I wanted it to be 3 feet wide and it's not quite 3 feet. It's more like 2.5 feet, which is a little unfortunate. It's gonna be pretty small. I'm kind of like debating, I don't know. I made it to be just like a mindless stash busting project. And like I just work on it like when I have like no other mindless knitting to do, but I want to do some knitting. So that's what this is basically. It's slow going. This is 1 ball so far and like a little bit of another ball. So this is about as much as 1 gets me and I have like 6 more to go. I don't know. It is really pretty though. Like I like the colors and it's pretty soft considering like it's an acrylic blend. I just think it'll make like a good like couch blanket. Like just throw over you while you watch TV. I am thinking, I'm doing like this braided edge. I'm thinking basically, let me show you. Excuse me. I reorganized my yarn stash into these organizers here. So it's taking up a whole bin, all this yarn. So these are, I think from Michael's, just the impeccable loops and threads. I bought these to go with it. So I bought these, my plan was like, I actually wanted to crochet, I think, a sweater with it. Like, I don't know. It was a few years ago. And I bought these because I wanted to use these for the cuffs, for the ribbing of the sweater, for the cuffs, the neckline, and the hem. I wanted to do like a color block thing. And I still think these colors go pretty well. So I'm thinking I might end up doing like a border with these, and then I could get a little more, I could make it a little bigger. So I recently went through all my yarn and like destashed a little bit, decluttered. I held on to these because I think I might still find a way to incorporate them into this blanket. So yeah, there's not much else there. I'm using a 10 millimeter hook, or not hook, needles, 10 millimeter needles. If I used this, I would probably double it up. Or you know what I could probably do? No, because it's already started. That's the thing. I'm like, it's not wide enough. I want it to be wider. So then, I don't know. I'm going to stew on that for a little bit longer, but I just wanted to share it with you. It's something else that's kind of in the works right now. I'm not really focusing on it. It's back burner stuff, but still worth sharing. So there are a couple things I wanted to talk about from the last episode, because there might be some, if you watched it, you might not have, but if you watched that, there were a couple things I was working on there that haven't shown up yet. So let me talk about the forgotten whips, is what I dubbed them for this episode. So, first of all, big elephant in the room, Mood Blanket 2022. I have not worked on it for over a year, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a little, like 10 months or something or so. It is on hiatus, but it is not forgotten. Like, I am going to finish that eventually. It's just not something that I have wanted to work on, so I haven't. But again, I've really gotten back into the groove of things within the past couple months, and so it might be more likely that I'll pick it up again pretty soon here. But as of right now, I'm not holding myself to anything. I fully intend on making this blanket and finishing it. I have all the yarn. I have my fully completed my chart with all of my moods from 2022. Truthfully though, towards the end of the year, I would forget or just like purposely not feel like filling it in for like a week or so at a time. So I would try to remember. Some of them I don't have the information for that day, but I'm kind of planning on incorporating that into my blanket, because it's almost to like keep it as like authentic as I can. So like those days that I have missing data for, I might fill in with the filler color, the neutral color, just as a reminder of like, I didn't record that day. Just what it is, you know, because I don't want to like make it up. You know, I think some of them I went back in, made it up a little bit, or like tried to remember, but for days I could not remember, I just left blank. And that was again towards the end of the year. So, and again, it's still like a pretty good reflection of my whole 2022. So again, I haven't worked on it. It's on a hiatus, but it will be back eventually. And I'll let you know, when I get back working on it, because I know a lot of people really liked it. On my last episode, I got some really nice comments about it, saying that they really liked the idea and they liked the colors and how it was going and were excited to see how it turned out. So, I don't want to I don't think anybody's like sitting there wondering what happened to it, but at the same time, like it'll be done eventually. Just not right now. Hopefully by the end of this year. We'll see. I think I do have like 1 or 2 squares more than what you saw last, but I'm not going to dig them out right now. But so yeah, that's what I have to say about my Boob Blanket 2022. She is gone for now, but not forgotten, and she'll be back. She'll be back. Next up is my tote bag, my checkered Tunisian crochet tote bag. Again, I haven't worked on that at all since I last showed it to you. I'm still planning on, for now, finishing it at some point, and it's on hiatus as well. I really do think I need to like turn it sideways and reconfigure some of the things with it. But also I might end up frogging it at some point. I have to decide. I have to decide basically. It's just there's a lot of other things I want to make more, if that makes sense. It's like I lost the inspiration for it. I mean, that's okay, you know what I mean? Like, I had the inspiration at the time, I worked on it, it brought me joy, I made it, I learned a new skill, and that's like the point, I think anyways, of like all of this, you know? So like, even if I don't have a finished object out of the end of from it at the end of the day, I still got that joy, you know, from making it and planning it and creating it as much as I did. So I don't know. For now, it's on hiatus. We'll see in the future. Lastly, my typical tank. I am going to frog my typical tank. And it's because it doesn't fit. I thought I got to the body. I have like a few inches on the body, and I would try it on, and I was like, even with ribbing, like, this is too small. Like, it needs to be wider up here for me. I think mostly what it is was me trying to work out, like, not like work my own gauge and doing the math when like I'm just not experienced enough yet to really do something like that. So I still had a lot of fun working on it when I did. I just think, yeah, I'm gonna frog it, but I still want to make a typical tank, and I'll talk about that in my plans in just a minute. But I'm gonna be frogging that typical tank. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yarn yet, but I'm going to hold on to it for now. So, those are all the loose ends from my last episode. Oh my god. I look like Italy from Hitalia. On to some acquisitions. Again, it's been a whole year since I last shared anything with you. On YouTube anyway. By the way, I have an Instagram, and I've been using that a little bit more than YouTube, a lot more. So if you want to follow me there, it's y.lk_knits on Instagram. I'll have the link below if you want to follow me there. I'll probably follow you back because I am always looking for new people to follow, just because I love knitting and looking at it and getting inspiration from Instagram. So I digress. So I'm not going to share like every single thing I've gotten over the year, but like I've gotten over the past year, but like I have some stuff I want to show you. First of all, I got an interchangeable set of needles, and I got the y.lk, I'm not totally sure how to say it, that is my attempt, interchangeables in the color umber. Now these were a gift. These were a graduation gift from my tia and my tío. So thank you, Tia Jacqueline and Tío Rodrigo, for these. They bought it from my Amazon wish list, and I'm so grateful for that. So I never got, I didn't really do, like, try interchangeable needles before getting this because I didn't buy this for myself. It was a gift. And so, yeah, they're beautiful. And I really like them. I've been using them. So I got them last year. I want to say, so it's been about 9 months I've been using these, and I do really like them. So I'm still like interested in trying some other, like I've heard Chai Gu is really good. Somebody commented on my last video that I should try Chai Gu. I haven't yet, but I do want to because I've heard a lot of good things. But for the time being, I have this set, which is, it's made, it's really expanded like what I can make, because now I have the cords and the needle the right needle sizes. So it's improved my knitting life. It really has. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful and practical. Oh, pff. I have a diffuser going on and like the steam like out of the corner of my eye. I thought there was like it freaked me out for a second. So there's these. I had tried like a before that. Sorry if that's annoying, me trying to figure it out. I really just don't know. Those Moonstone socks, one of them is on those Knitter's Pride Carbons knits needles. The other one is on a pair of y.lk fixed needles that I bought from La Mercerie. So I've tried them before. I got this recently. I just wanted to show it because it's cute. It's a pair of fixed 2.5mm needles, 24-inch, from y.lk in the blush color. I wanted the blush set, but I wasn't sure like how much I would actually, because like I like the idea of pink, but I wasn't sure if I would like the entire set to be pink. But I saw these and I was like, oh yay, I can have some pink needles. So I have some pink needles for sock knitting and all of my 2.5mm needs. I have tons of 2.5mm needles because I'm making socks all the gosh dang time. I almost said something else. In like my normal day-to-day life, like I swear a lot, but I don't know, I haven't figured out if I'm comfortable swearing on the internet a ton yet. You know, just digital footprint, that's what it's called. Digital footprint and everything. Anyways, I got some pink needles. I thought they were fun. I wanted to share. Yarn. I have some yarn to show you. First of all, last year I bought this sock yarn, and it is the Dolce sock wool. It's from Hobby. I think it's pronounced Hobby because I was on their bingo one time. They have like the bingo app. I participated in the bingo one time, and I'm pretty sure the people who were hosting the bingo were calling it Hobby. So I got 3 different colorways of this, like, it's kind of like a speckle variegated. You can kind of, I don't know if you'll be able to see. Gotta get close. Yeah, there we go. It has little, it has that picture on, like, all of them for, like, how the yarn will look when it's worked up. So, I don't know. I think they were on sale, so I just picked them up. I was like, won't hurt to have some sock yarn in my stash. I could use it for gifts and stuff. So I have this. What are the colorways? This is color number 3. Color number 9. Really pretty blue. I've been into like blue lately, which usually I'm more of a warm tone person. I don't know. And color number 8. Just a simple gray. Yeah, I don't have anything really in mind for these except this one. I want to knit something else from the 52 Weeks of Sock book, and mostly just because I want to use it. Like, I want to knit something from it. I want to do some like I've done a few vanilla socks at this point. I want to start doing some texture, some more complicated stuff. So I have this in the back of my mind that I want to use this pink. There we go. You can see the pink better. So looking through my 52 Weeks of Sock book, if you have it, I've been thinking about knitting the Heartachoke pattern, which I think is, it's number 13 in the book. I think it uses like cable, or it said one of the tools needed is a cable needle. So I've never done anything like that before, and I think it'd be like a good, I think it'd be like a good place to start. I don't know. So because I was like looking through it, they had this yarn in mind. It was like, what's something, because there is like a lot of variation in here. So like, but I think that that texture will still show up okay on it. So that's kind of a pattern I have in mind for this yarn. Second up, I recently bought something else from Hobby, and it is this baby cotton. Sorry if you lip read, I'm gonna try to, baby cotton. So it's the 100% Egyptian cotton, organic. It's baby cotton organic from Hobby. So I bought some in the like normal, and then some in the midi, which is, I believe, so like the normal's fingering weight and the midi is sport weight. And I think the midi is getting discontinued because when I bought it, it was like, this color is getting, this is getting discontinued, so bye. So this is the midi. I bought it in color number 4, but when I tried to find it on their website, it was already gone, I think, all of that color. So it's kind of like it's like a sandy white color. I can't really explain it because it's kind of beige, but it's also kind of white. It's like an off-white, but kind of more brown, very warm toned. Just like a good neutral color. And then I bought the baby cotton, just the normal one, in this red color. It's color number 23. It's like a bright, true red. Really fun, really pretty. Okay, here's what I bought these because I want to make some tops. I want to make some summer tops. And I saw that, what's her name? Night Sky Knitting Podcast. I believe her name is Rachel. Also, she's changing the name of her podcast and her channel. So it's not Night Sky Knitting anymore, but I don't know if she's announced the new name or not. Her name is Rachel. I'll link her channel below. I really like her knitting podcast. Yeah, I like her vibe. So a little shout out there. But she did a video on like all of the knits she made last year, like all of her 2022 knits, and I was watching it, and in it she had an As Friends tank by Jessie May Designs, and she used Hobby Baby organic cotton for it, and I was like, I want one. And I couldn't decide which weight to use, because she said she used the fingering, but the pattern calls for sport weight. So I bought about 500 yards each of these, and I swatched them up. Actually, let me pull out the swatches. Here are them swatched up. I can't remember what needle. They're in the round, fake in the round swatches. I think I want to say I used like a 3.75 on this one and a 4mm for this one. I can't quite remember. Shoot, did I write it down anywhere? I hope I did. But that's them swatched up. I did the swatches to help me figure out what I'm going to do with each one. So I think what I'm going to do is with the neutral one, I'm going to make an As Friends tank by Jessie May Designs. Because I could really see myself using and wearing that a lot. Especially in the summer. I really like white tops or light colored tops for the summer. And I'm going to use this red to make a typical tank. Okay. I think that this yarn, I think my gauge is too big with the 3.75, which makes sense because the original typical tank pattern calls for 3mm. So I might go down to 3.5mm and do like another swatch. I want to make sure this thing fits this time. So I'm going to try and meet gauge as best I can. And if I can't, I'll knit like a size up or a size down or something. So that's what I'm planning to do with this yarn. Can't you just see like a bright red typical tank? I think it'd be really fun for like going out. I have like this pair of like black pleather pants that I thrifted that like I can just see them together. So I have plans. And so yeah, I told you I'm gonna make a typical tank. I just am gonna abandon the first one. And I'm just gonna try it again. I have more knowledge this time and everything, you know. So there's that. My most recent yarn, which is actually what prompted me to film this episode today. I thought this yarn was gonna come tomorrow. I thought it was gonna get here tomorrow. That was the estimated delivery date. So today's Tuesday. Yesterday morning, I'm just like doing my thing and knitting in the morning while I eat my breakfast before I go to work, and I get an email saying my yarn had been delivered. And I was like, holla. Sorry, I've been saying that a lot lately, and it's literally, okay, you know the scene in Alvin and the Chipmunks? The live action movie, live action Alvin and the Chipmunks, when they're like run around Dave's house, and they're like ransacking his kitchen and everything. And there's a scene where like the like cabinet door bursts open, and Alvin kicks it open, and he has like the cheese balls, and he goes, "Holla!" It's so specific and weird, but like that's what I think of whenever I like something good happens, like something good and unexpected. So now I say that. I'm like, "Holla!" Anyways, you didn't need that explanation. So, this yarn that I've been anticipating for the past few weeks is, should I show it to you or should I tell you about it? I don't know. I was like, when this yarn gets here, I'm filming a podcast episode. I just want to be able to show it off. I'm just going to show you. Okay, this is yarn from Sorella. Sorella yarn. It's a hand-dyed yarn business, very popular on Instagram. And this is all from her Knitflix collection of 2023. So when she started sharing, I believe her name is Ashley, the owner behind Sorella Yarn, they started sharing colorways from the collection, you know, building anticipation towards the collection release. They were releasing it like a day at a time because there was tons of colorways coming out for this collection. And I've been trying to do this thing with like my knitting and yarn buying and stuff. Like if I don't have something specific I'm buying it for, then B, it needs to be something that like I'm in love with for me to buy it, for it to be worth buying and thinking about and making. That's kind of like what I've been going off of. So first I saw this colorway. This is Abbott. From the collection. This was the first one I saw, and I was like, I want that yarn. So what the Knitflix collection is it was all colorways based off of movies and TV. Just in general, not like any specific genres or anything, because it was kind of all over the place, like in a good way. Like there was something for everybody. And so this was based off of the show Abbott Elementary, which if you haven't seen, is amazing and you should go watch it. It's created and written by Quinta Brunson, and then she stars in it. It's a really, really good show. If you like The Office, you will like Abbott Elementary. What's even better about Abbott Elementary is you don't have to get through like a bad first season. Sorry, Office fans. Like when I started watching The Office, like the first 2 seasons were rough, and then it got good. Abbott Elementary is good from the start. It's like a mockumentary style, set in an elementary school. It's really good. I digress. I was like, I love the show Abbott Elementary. I like this colorway. Like, this is beautiful. The base I bought it on is a little bit lighter than, like, I think it would have been on, like, the, like, 100% merino base, but I still really like it. And a portion of the proceeds for this specific colorway went towards, I cannot remember the name, but it is the website where it's kind of like GoFundMe for teachers. Like they post specific projects they're working towards, and then like you can like donate to get them that supplies that they're trying to raise for or whatever. So a portion of the proceeds went to fulfilling like wish lists for teachers basically. So that was cool. So it helped real teachers, and I got cool yarn out of it. So, again, this is Abbott. These two, this one is called Thank You and Good, this one is called Thank You and Good Night. From the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Another amazing show, if you haven't seen it. It's half of why I bought this one, but also it's pink. I love pink. Amazing show. I haven't watched the final season yet. I've kind of been putting it off because I love it and I don't want it to end. This one is Givenchy. There we go. Based off the movie Sabrina with Audrey Hepburn. I can't believe I got that. I love Audrey Hepburn. Okay, like I love her. I dressed up as Audrey Hepburn from Roman Holiday for Halloween last year. Like, I love her. I don't know why I was mixing up her name just now. What's interesting is, so this is like a really pretty, it's a black, but it's kind of like a purpley bluey black. It's very pretty. It's very pretty. I think it has a little more character than just like a straight up black. And this Givenchy dye is the same dye that's used in this darker color in this colorway. Which is kind of cool because, like, in the show, because I think this specific colorway is inspired by some of the costumes that the actress wears in Marvelous Miss Maisel, some of the costume design, and in the first season she wears a dress that's specifically based off of the Sabrina dress from Sabrina, so these two were made to go together, basically. She was selling, they were selling sock sets with these two. Oh, let me tell you a little bit more. So I bought this in the silk DK base. Because I have something specific I want to use it for. And these two I bought in the nylon sock base. So these are fingering, this is DK. I bought these to make socks with because I like making socks, okay? Oh, you know what I just bought? I don't have it here to share with acquisitions. I just ordered a pair of 10-inch circulars from Addi. I was influenced by Penrose Knits. She was saying, because one needle is longer than the other. I haven't tried small circumference needles for sock knitting yet. But I figured it's worth trying at this point because obviously I love knitting socks, okay? So now that I've figured out that I like knitting socks, I think it's worth trying out different methods of sock knitting to figure out what I'm gonna like the best. Like, I like magic loop, but in theory, this will make it faster, right? Because I won't have to stop in the middle of a round like I have to in magic loop. We'll see how those go. So I'm kind of gonna use those with this. Okay, I have plans. I have plans for these. So I bought these to use them together. I could have bought the sock set. It had like a mini skein of the Givenchy and then like a full skein of this. But I wanted full skeins of both for a reason. So this, what I'm planning on doing with this is I'm going to knit the, I'm looking at my notes. The Test Build Socks, which is a pattern by Doris Lindner, or Knit Quo Pro on Instagram. That's how I found the pattern, is I follow Knit Quo Pro Quo on Instagram, and then I was like, what am I gonna do with this? You know, am I just gonna knit vanilla socks? What am I gonna do? I kind of want to do something a little bit different than just vanilla, but also it's variegated, so I can't do something with a ton of texture either because it'll get lost. More like, I don't want to do something with a ton of texture because I don't want it to get lost in the variegation. So I saw this pattern and I was like, oh yeah, I'll put up a picture. Basically it's pretty much a vanilla sock, except there's like, I think it looks to me like it's like some sort of slip stitch detail. And I really like the way it brought out the colors in this yarn, like made them pop out a little bit more, like all the different colors. So I think the dog is huffing outside of my door. Yeah, she's mad. She's mad the door is closed and she can't come in. Get in here. Come on. No? Okay. She just stood there. Anyways. So that's what I'm going to make with this. And I want to do a contrast cuff, heel, and toe with the Givenchy color. Can you see it? Can you see the vision? So after that, I'm going to have plenty of leftover. Like, plenty. So I want to knit another pair of socks using Givenchy as the main color. I'm thinking I want to do something, but I don't want to just do like a reverse. So I am thinking I want to knit the Porch Light socks from 52 Weeks of Socks with these. It's number 43, if you have the book, in the book. It's like a color work kind of sock. Never done color work. Couldn't be a better time to try, I guess. So where it's like, I'll put a picture, but even though this is variegated, I feel like it might be like a fun way to incorporate it into a sock that's mostly this color, without it just being like a cuff, heel, and toe situation. So those are my plans. I have visions. I've been so excited for this yarn, and I'm so excited that it's here. And I'm gonna start. I needed to film this so that I could show these off in their hank, so that I could wind it up and start swatching, because that's what I really want. That's what I really, really want to do. I really want to swatch these. Okay. Abbott. I'm gonna make an Oslo hat, another one, with this. So this is 50% superwash merino wool and 50% silk. So it has more silk content than my previous Oslo hat. So I'm gonna swatch it, you know, see what I need to do, but this is gonna be an Oslo hat, and I'm very excited. I'm so excited. I don't know if I'll start making it right away, just because it is like summer, so I don't know if I really want to be making like a beanie right now, but rest assured, this will become an Oslo hat. Like, when I really put my mind to something, like, once I get it in my head that I'm gonna do something, like, I'm gonna do it. For the most part, unless I abandon it, which happens sometimes, but for the most part. Excuse me, I'm burping. So yeah, this feels so nice. The silk content makes it feel really like luxe. Ooh. This is gonna make such a nice hat. I'm so excited. Those are all my acquisitions to share with you. I basically just have some like plans and dreams I want to talk about with you, and then we'll get to wrapping up the episode. I know it's kind of been like a long one. I apologize, but I love long podcast episodes. I like watching them. You know, it's like make what you would want to watch. That's what I'm doing. I've talked about most of my plans, because most of my plans are like pretty closely tied to my current acquisitions. So like, you know, mostly about my plans. Some other things I want to make. I just want to talk about them because I want to talk about them. If you might remember, in my referencing the last episode again, I had that Patton's Croy self-striping yarn, which also at the time that I bought it, I didn't realize it was self-striping. But like, that's even better. I haven't used it yet, but I really want a pair of ribbed socks. Again, I'm like, okay, I've done the vanilla socks. I want to try some other things. So I'm going to try to make eventually a pair of ribbed socks. I think I found a free pattern on Ravelry. I don't remember the name of it, but like I'll link it down below. And I want to use the Patton's Croy mid-century stripes for a pair of ribbed socks. And I want to, I want to try a fish lips kiss heel. I haven't done any heels other than like the heel flap and gusset. I like the look of the fish lips kiss heel, and I tried. I didn't really understand. I was looking for tutorials, and I like couldn't find any, and I was like, this is so weird, because I didn't realize it was a pattern, like a paid for specific pattern that somebody made. So that's something I found out. So I'm gonna be buying that, and I think I'm gonna try it on those ribbed socks eventually. I don't know when I'm gonna make that, but just so you know, I'm thinking about it. It's in my head. I want a pair of ribbed socks. I want to use that yarn. I want to use my stash. I was like, I'm trying to really not buy new yarn, and then I went and bought new yarn. But, you know, there's plans for everything. Like, I have a plan for everything. I wasn't buying anything just to buy it, which, even if I was, that would be okay, too. I want to put that out there. Like, there's no shame. I'm not ashamed. There's no shame at all, period. If you're feeling any shame from me, I'm not intending it. I just know for me in my life, I have a lot of things, and I am my mother's daughter. I have a hard time getting rid of things a lot of the time. I've been doing really well lately, and like I said, I just went through all my yarn and got rid of a lot of things that are not worth keeping on to anymore. A lot of acrylic yarn. Again, it was stuff that like I really liked crocheting with a few years ago, but it just isn't the kind of fiber that I prefer anymore. Like now I'm getting into more natural fibers, and that's just what I want to work with now. So I gave away some stuff to like a friend of mine, so that was cool. The rest of the stuff I'm probably going to donate to a Goodwill or Value Village or something along those lines. But so yeah, I downsized my stash a little bit to get it to all fit in there, but there's not much room to grow, so I gotta work through it, you know what I mean? I'm trying to. And also money, like I cannot afford to be buying all this stuff, and yet here I am. So that's a pair of socks I want to knit. Socks, 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 socks. I know, I just really like them. I really like them. Okay, I have two patterns I want to talk about. Okay, first of all, you remember last year that dot sweater I talked about? Oh yeah, it is still, this is what I mean. Like there are some patterns that I have laid eyes on and it has been love at first sight. And once I have it in my head, I'm like, I need to make that. I've realized it sticks with me and I think about it all the time. It's like I have a crush on these patterns. I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, oh my god, I need it. I want it. So, the dot sweater. I have plans to make a dot sweater at the end of this year / the beginning of next year, because I bought an advent for this year. I bought Blue Fern Yarns advent. She's an indie, I think her name is Shannon, and Blue Fern Yarns is an indie hand dyer based in the UK. And I saw their advent from last year and was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like this one. So like I looked at all their I basically was like, I don't know, I'm kind of taking a chance on it and hoping that it'll work out, because here's the thing. So the details are, it's supposed to be a fade with tonals, speckled, and I think lightly variegated shades. That was the same description that she had for her advent last year. And I looked at all the shades and none of them were like crazy. So like, none of them were like crazily variegated. And the only reason I was specifically looking for a fade and something that wouldn't be too crazy when it came to like variegation or speckles or anything, because I want to use this advent in a dot sweater. That's like my goal, that's my dream, that's my plan. So I don't know, I saw her advent from last year and I was like, that will work. Obviously it won't look the same, but I'm hoping the vibe will be similar because it's like the same description as last year's. So, and I mean, if I get it and it doesn't work for it, I'll do something else with it. I'll make like an advent baby blanket or something. There's tons of advent projects, so I'm not really too worried, because I'm like, I have a plan B, you know what I mean? If it doesn't work out for the dot sweater, I can always make something else with it, because I'm still gonna love it. Like, I know I'm gonna love it. That's not the question. It's, will it work for the dot sweater? That's what I'm hoping for. So like in my head, I can just see, I think the theme was like at the beach. We're going to the beach, beach colors, fade. I don't know. I could totally see, I don't know. I'm pretty excited. So, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the advent. I plan on opening it like an advent, you know, one a day, looking at it, admiring it. And then at the end of the month, I'll look at it all and then decide what to do from there. I'm hoping that I'll be like, yes, perfect. These will all work. Because I can't have anything too variegated, because then I'm afraid it'll get like lost in the dots. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully I'll see it. I'll be like, awesome. And then once I see everything, I'll figure out what my main color will be for the sweater. The only thing is I'm worried about, because it is a fade, that there's going to be really light colors and really dark colors, so I think it might be a bit of a challenge to find a main color that will work and not get lost on all of those colors. I'll cross that bridge when I get there, is kind of my mentality. That's where I'm at right now with it. I anticipate that being a challenge. But I'm really hoping a dot sweater comes out of this. I'm in love with that sweater. You don't understand. It's so cool and pretty. I need one. So there's a plan. The other pattern I want to talk about is another pattern I have fallen in love with recently too. Like this, let me lay the scene out for you. I was watching Nitty Natty's video. It wasn't her podcast. It was a recent video where she was decluttering her finished objects, like her knits, and like deciding what to get rid of and stuff. I don't know. I'll link it down below if you're interested in watching it. But she was going through all the shawls she's made, and she was showing one, and I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I could never knit a shawl. Like, what would I do with a shawl? Like, I'm not the kind of person, like, that's not really my style, you know what I wouldn't, like, wear one out and about. Like, I don't know what I could never make a shawl because, like, what's the purpose? And then, like, literally the next second, she brings this shawl on screen, and it's the most beautiful shawl I've ever seen. It was the Star Flake shawl by Stephen West or West Knits on Ravelry, Instagram, whatever. I'm telling you, love at first sight. It was... I need it. You guys don't understand. I need this shawl in my life. I can see myself now. Like, it's definitely going to be for at home. But, like, the shape of it, overall shape of it, works exactly for what I would. It's like, it's the perfect, just wrap it around yourself while you're making breakfast in the morning on a cold winter morning. Or you're sitting at your desk or sitting watching TV. Just cover yourself up. Keep yourself warm. It's beautiful. And it's beautiful. I want to make it so bad. Like, I'm telling you, I was like, shut up. And the second I saw that thing, I was like, I need you. You're coming on with me. I need that in my life. And the one she made was beautiful. It was, I think, it was like black and like a cream color, because it's kind of like a two-tone contrast. Obviously, I'll put a picture up if I haven't already. And she was giving hers away. So I could have, I could have like put my name on the hat for the one she made. But no, when I saw this, I was like, I want to make one. I want to make one to my specifications with the colors that I want. I want to make this. So I've told myself that if by September I still really want to make it, I will buy the yarn and make it then. Because then it will have just been like, it'll be getting colder here in Washington. And it'll be the best time of year to make it. I put like a reminder in my phone for September, like, remember that shawl? But I honestly don't even think I'll need it. Because, like, again, the dot sweater has been on my mind for over a year. Like, I'm telling you, when I fall in love with something, it is on my mind. I'm looking at, like, this shawl on Instagram, on Ravelry, all day. On my breaks at work, before I go to sleep at night. I am obsessed. I'm, like, getting inspiration for because I have a color story in my head, and I gotta figure out how to make it work. But I have some time. So yeah, I'm gonna allow myself to make that in a few months. Not just yet, but soon, in this year. The only thing is like, it does seem pretty complicated, and I've never made a Stephen West pattern before, and I'm pretty sure like an advanced pattern. Oh well. It's as good a time as any to try. I mean, I don't know. If you're watching this and you're like, oh, then you're like scared for me, that'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Even if I mess up, I'll try again. I'm telling you, I'm making this thing. I am making this shawl. Okay. I'm rattling on. I have some color. I don't know. But tell me what you think. I'm going to put up some inspiration that I've had for the color, because I've been obsessed with this like pastel light green color recently, specifically in yarn. I haven't bought any because I don't know what I'd make with it. But like when I was at the yarn store, I kept seeing this green and I was like, I love that color. And I've never ever been drawn to like green before. So it's kind of taken me aback a little bit. But I want to find a way to use that green. And I think the best course of action is like that green with like mauve, purple, dark green kind of color palette. Again, I have some inspiration posted here. So this is what I'm thinking, but I gotta keep it to like 4 colors or less because the original pattern is 2 colors. It takes 4 balls of fingering weight yarn, 400 gram skeins of fingering weight yarn. So I'm trying to keep it to at least 4 colors, or at maximum, like at max 4 colors. But yeah, I'm gonna be playing around with that for the coming months, thinking about it, stewing on it, and yeah, I'll let you know if there's anything else comes up about it. But yeah, I just want you to know. I'm thinking about it. It's on my radar. I just wanted to talk about it because I've been obsessed. I've been showing everyone like at work. I'm like, look at this shawl. It's so, I'm like, isn't this pretty? And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, I'm gonna make this. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. But I'm forcing everybody. This is why I need this podcast, because if I don't do this every once in a while, like, everyone's gonna hate me because I won't shut up about knitting. And they already kind of do because I already don't shut up about it. Okay. That's basically all I had to share with you. I don't know. If you want an explanation for why I've been gone for a year, it really boils down to, I filmed and started editing a second episode. And then that computer broke. And all my files are on it, and I can't access them at all because it won't turn on. Or it will turn on, but it won't get past the Apple logo screen. And I don't want to take it to Apple and pay the money it's going to take to fix it. That was really what started it. And after that, I was just like, And then I stopped knitting for a few months. I didn't work on like anything at all. I had no mojo, no motivation. And it was only around the end of last year that it picked back up again. And then all of this year I've been like in it. I've had that fire in my belly for it. Knitting inspires me so much. Also, I filmed like a vlog while I was in Mexico, while I was in Mexico. I don't know if I'll post it, only because I don't know if I want to edit it. There's a lot of footage to go through. And it was kind of a hot mess, like, because of the whole June top situation. So I might edit it, and if I do and post that, just know that it was filmed like before I filmed this. So yeah. Basically, it came down to like technical difficulties. Also, I hated the camera that I was using. The setup was awful. I couldn't see myself while I was filming, and I didn't like sitting down on my chair because it was squeaky. So I just kind of reconfigured. And my lighting was bad. My roommate, my bestie, got me a ring light for Christmas. Bless him. And he was like, I thought it'd be good for filming your YouTube videos and TikToks and stuff. And I was like, you're so sweet. Like, I have such good friends. They're so supportive, and I love them. But, so I'm using the ring light right now and my phone because it's just easier. And I'm standing. I like this better. I don't feel as like, I don't know. Okay, we're getting to the point where I'm just like kind of looking around and going like, I don't know. So it's time to wrap it up. If you watched all the way through, thank you. If you watched 5 minutes, thank you. If you watched my episode from last year and you're back following up, thank you. I don't know. I really appreciate it. I want someone to talk to. that's why I'm doing this. That's why I started doing it last year, and then, you know, I kind of got discouraged a little bit, but I'm hoping I'm like back on the wagon now because I really do have a lot to share, and I just want to talk knitting with people, connect with other people. Same stuff I said last time, but basically, yeah. All I'm trying to say is thank you for watching. Remember, add me on Ravelry, follow me on Instagram. I'm a lot more active on Instagram than I'm going to be on YouTube, so yeah. Okay, I'm still really bad at the sign-offs. Okay, bye. Thank you for watching.